This coalition of unpaid, newly posted teachers comprising of graduates from colleges of education and universities demonstrate over non-payment of 13-month salary arrears. Also, as today marks an official end to the United States Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, we find out how businesses are repositioning themselves to explore other markets. A lot later, Interior Minister Mubarak Mohammed Muntaka pushes for changes to the law that will ensure public officials who misappropriate public funds are directly held accountable by the Public Accounts Committee. Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to yet another day, another edition of News Central here on TV3. I am Mawuena Egbeta and the bulletin starts right now. Well, today, September 30th, 2025, marks the official end of the African Growth and Opportunity Act known as AGOA. The policy, initiated by the Bush administration some 25 years ago, provided Ghanaian and African businesses the opportunity to export goods like textiles, apparel, and certain agricultural products to the U.S. market tariff-free. However, President Donald Trump, in far-reaching tariff review, withdrew all AGOA privileges, effectively nullifying the benefits African countries enjoyed. This means, beginning today, Ghanaian products entering the U.S. face tariffs of up to 15%. Listen to President Mahama speak to the challenges of AGOA continuing during his media encounter 3 weeks ago. And we're supposed to listen to the president who spoke during that media encounter some 3 weeks ago, essentially, amongst many other things. That question posed to him was whether or not, or was essentially about how the Ghanaian market was positioning itself to take advantage of some courtesies being extended by China following the introduction of tariffs slapped by the U.S. government on all goods entering the U.S. market from Ghana. We know that it's 15%, but some 25 years ago as well, there was an agreement put together between the U.S. administration and the African continent known as AGOA. But let's walk you through what the details of this agreement is, and now that it is coming to an abrupt end, exactly what it will mean in terms of the expectations now going forward. We're going to go onto our dashboard and just get a proper understanding of the AGOA policy and what it has done, how it has helped as well businesses, particularly from here in the country, be able to rake in a lot of foreign exchange, improve in terms of their production lines, amongst many other things. Now that it's coming to that abrupt end, what then becomes of them? And this is what the policy sought to do, and it provided duty-free access, not just to Ghana, but we're focusing on Ghana. So provides Ghanaian businesses with the opportunity to export goods like textiles, apparel, and certain agricultural products to the U.S. without paying any tariffs. And so it made our products less cheaper as compared to others in a very competitive U.S. market. And he opened up as well significant U.S. market to local businesses, helping them reach a global customer base and grow the operations as well. And that's one of the many things that I was speaking to you about. And so there were certain categories of agricultural inputs as well, which were making their way onto shelves in the U.S., and they weren't being slapped with tariffs. And so it meant you were getting, your goods were more preferred in the U.S. market amongst many other things. And then you afforded economic growth because in being able to export so freely without tariffs, it encourages the implementation of sustainable economic policies, transparency, good governance, and worker protections in Ghana to ensure continued eligibility for the benefits of the program. And also, investment and partnership is strengthening economic ties between us and the United States through investment and engagement, amongst many other things. And then the key products we know which benefited as a result of this was clothing and fabrics. We saw a lot of footwears as well, a lot of locally made footwears. Then there was pineapple, cocoa, and oil palm fruits also enjoying duty-free access in the U.S. And then in manufacturing, we saw light manufacturing and other sectors as well enjoying a lot of the support. And so these and more are the benefits in terms of what we stood to enjoy as a result of AGOA, amongst many other things. But let's now hear from the president, who was asked that question as to what he made of the tariffs that had been slapped on us by the U.S. and whether or not he was going to encourage the country to begin to look a bit more to the east as well. This is what the president had to say with respect to that question posed to him 3 weeks ago.
We all work towards a rules-based trading system. It took years of negotiation from Rio to Doha round and all that. And eventually, reasonable tariffs were agreed between countries. Countries like Africa enjoyed zero tariff into the US because we were in the developing world. And so it was a concession that the US gave. And what you receive in exchange is soft power that, a lot of people have a good disposition towards the US because the US has been kind to Africa and all that kind of thing. But in comes President Trump. He has a more transactional mindset, and he says that the US has been taken for granted for a long time. And so even countries like Ghana in Africa, he slapped a 15% tariff on us from zero tariff. And so AGOA is technically dead. It was due for renegotiation in September. There's no way with this 15% tariff, AGOA is going to be renewed. But we're just watching carefully. The power to impose tariffs is that of Congress. But in this case, the US president always pushes the limits. And so there's a case in the US Supreme Court to determine whether his impositions of tariffs are legal or not.
So President essentially saying AGOA is dead. Let's speak to Chona Mapelu. He is currently the Accra Regional Chair of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, and get a sense of understanding as to what next for these businesses. Chona, as always, thank you very much for speaking to us. A big blow, some would say, to businesses here locally who have made the U.S. home in terms of being able to make profit. How does this begin to affect them in terms of the overall operations with the coming to the end of AGOA?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Yes, to begin with, it is a big blow, especially in the immediate terms, to those companies that are benefiting directly from the AGOA initiative. It is really a big blow. Because all of a sudden you're no longer enjoying the benefits of the tariff relief that we typically enjoy. But our view is that in the long term, we have to be able to turn this blow to opportunities, which is really what we're looking at. The thing is that we almost have had a sense of this coming, so it's not necessarily a surprise. Because if you observe the posture of the current U.S. government, you realize that they are not necessarily interested in this type of initiatives and this type of largesse. However, as country and also as continent, it is crucial for us to really begin to do this differently. So number one, we have to now focus on products that are essentially niche products. So for example, products that are luxurious, and we're targeting the US market, the US luxury market. For those type of clients, it doesn't matter how much the product costs.
Right.
What matters is the quality and that type of uniqueness of the product. So what I'm saying is that we have to quickly depart from the regular product and focus on those niche markets, so that even if the price is so high, those people are able to afford.
But how prepared are these businesses to begin to pivot to premium products to serve the U.S. market when they had enjoyed a relative advantage for 25 plus years?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In the immediate terms, we will have some challenges. In the immediate terms, there will be losses, and there are losses already. So that's what I'm saying, that we have to, in the medium to long term, begin to do something very, very different. But also, all is not lost, because China just came out to say that they are going to give us a duty-free, quota-free regime to be able to export to China. The question, though, will be whether the Chinese customers have the same character as the Americans. It's not the same. America is heavily a consuming society. And so, and a lot of our people are more Americanized than they will be Chinese. So so all of this cultural dimension will come to play handily. But our view is that whichever way, we have to move on as a nation and as an industry. And that's really what we are doing. We have to begin to count our losses, but also take the steps that will allow us to quickly make the best out of the situation. One of them really is to look at the AFTA initiative, because the African Union Continental Free Trade Agreement, is giving us an opportunity to be able to export to African countries duty-free, quota-free. Our view is that we have to be able to take advantage of that initiative very quickly, so that we minimize our losses.
Where do you stand? Where do you stand on those who make the argument that, if possible, we should push for new bilateral trade deals with the U.S., considering in your own presentation, you explain or speak to the challenges with the Chinese market being a bit different from the U.S. market in terms of the U.S. being consumption-based, amongst many other things. There are those who say, yes, AGOA is coming to an end, but as a country, we can't push for fresh bilateral trade deals because we've been able to do that or secure a deal in terms of U.S. visa restrictions. Why don't we push for a similar in terms of trade?
That's correct. The challenge has been that the African diplomats appear to be going solo in these type of negotiations. Probably they should all come together. All the African diplomats that sit in New York should come together as a bloc and leverage on the uniqueness of the African continent, leverage on the power of the resources we have in order to negotiate. Clearly, President Trump is very transactional. You have to come on the table with something, and then you can get something also. And so what we're saying is that Ghana negotiating separately, Togo negotiating separately, it's not helping us. They have to come together as a bloc to negotiate. But I agree with you that we cannot give up. The U.S. market has been a market that we've had major relationship with. And so it's not going to be as simple as just cutting it off and saying it's fine. It's not fine. So we will still encourage our diplomats and our leaders to continue to engage and negotiate and see if something will change. And as I mentioned, President Trump would definitely listen once you have something on the table to offer. And so they should go leveraging on the things that we have as continent, but also not forgetting that we also have to begin to look within Africa and begin to do business among each other very quickly, so that in the future, when we have to deal with this situation, we'll be covered by the fact that we're selling between and among each other already.
How many times haven't we had this, though? This push and call for us as a continent to begin to trade more easily amongst ourselves. That continues to be very, very difficult, despite the fact that the AfCFTA is here. You continue to speak to it and mention it as though we are still awaiting a trade agreement like that. Hello, sir. Mr. Chonam, can you hear me? Well, it does appear we may have lost him just on the telephone line, but that point about the fact that the AFCFTA and the continuous narrative of being championed, that as a continent, we need to continue to learn to trade amongst ourselves a lot more. It continues to come up every now and then when we suffer a blow one way or the other from Western powers. The question remains when we can fully take advantage of the AFCFTA and trade amongst ourselves as a continent. But we'll move away from this, and the coalition of unpaid, newly posted teachers made up of graduates from the colleges of education and universities are demonstrating over unpaid salary areas. The group laments that some of its members have gone without pay for as long as 13 months, despite being duly posted and actively teaching in classrooms across the country. The protesting teachers will be marching to the Jubilee House and finally make their way to the Education and Finance Ministries to lay their grievances to the authorities in charge. Nura Mohammed is with them. She's joining us right now with a bit more in terms of the details. Nura, where exactly are these protesting unpaid teachers? What can you report?
13 months of unpaid salaries. This is not patriotism. This is simply injustice. These were some of the phrases that could be seen on placards held by some members of the coalition of newly posted teachers who are embarking on a demonstration and convened earlier this morning at Obra Spot and marched all the way to the Jubilee House to present a petition. Upon arrival, they were met with Ms. Bridget Otu, who received their petition on behalf of the government and promised that the government would revert to them.
For 9 to 13 months, we've been in the classrooms, we've been at the war front working. You all know how the recruitment process is. When you get the appointment, no one gives you a dime. You would have to go for low and all that, and for 13 months without salaries. We've engaged our employees severally, we've engaged our honorable minister, and all they say is we need financial clearance. We've written to the Ministry of Finance, but nothing is in here. So we thought it as much to, we made a press conference, by the way, and said that if we are omitted from September salaries, we will have to hit the streets.
We presented a petition expecting that it will get to His Excellency for action to be taken. For a good 2 weeks, we have not heard anything. Today, we've joined a larger group to come. We want to believe if you put our issues before His Excellency, our issues will be addressed. In as much as His Excellency was able to listen to the cry of tomato farmers and made sure that their cry was heeded to, in the same way He can listen to our cry and come to our aid. We cannot teach with empty stomachs.
No. It's good that you have come to the presidency. You said you have engaged the ministries, finance and education, but you're here. And you know, this government prioritizes teachers. I think we should take that into consideration. Look at the no fee stress policy. First year students had their fees cleared. Teachers, we don't want to see our teachers marching on the streets. It's the last thing we want to see. I don't know what has accounted for the 13 months without getting your IDs and being processed. So I am hoping that once you have brought this here, I will definitely take it in there. No, it will not be under my desk, as somebody said, you know. No, but it will be looked at as to why the delay has occurred. I have no idea. But what I can say to you, especially you, as you're very upset over there, that it will be looked at and hopefully, like you said, whether it's October or November, this will be treated urgently because we don't want to see our teachers on the street, because we need you in the classroom to teach our kids.
The members and executives of this coalition are adamant and demanding that the government pays them their due salaries. Otherwise, they will not be leaving the premises.
So government appointees are being paid every month. We need our salaries.
It's not done anywhere.
No.
It's not done anywhere. For you to work for 13 good months, most of us were employed before these MPs and ministers, but they have been getting their money and all that.
This is unfair.
We've not even one city said we've not gotten one city, 13 good months. 13 good months. And whenever you come, you tell us you are in our shoes. You can never be in my shoe. You don't know what I'm going through. I'm teaching enough, and I'm still here fighting for my money. Who does that? No, they should just spare us. Look at what we are going through.
Our sponges are over there. Our towels are over there. This is my brush. I'm going to sleep here till I receive my staff ID. This is my brush. We are not leaving. We are not leaving here today. We will be here. We are not leaving because this is my brush, and most of our colleagues, they brought their mats over here, the pillows over here. We are not leaving because this is my brush. I'm going to brush my teeth today, tomorrow. So the next day, so we hear from the government. So the government releases our staff IDs to us. That's all that we need from the government.
We've worked for 13 good months. Why? Do they want us to go and steal? We are starving. We are dying. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. Why? Why? 30 good man. We are being changed from our homes. Why? 30 good man. Madam, why? Do they want us to die? 3 of our people, they are dead. Do they want all of us here to die? We are going to sleep here until we hear this month, next month they will pay us before we will leave. This month, we want to hear that. Madam, it's not easy. We are teaching about 3 classes at a go. Teaching 3 classes at a go. 3 classes at a go. Why? Math and science, 3 classes, empty stomach.
All we want from the government is that they give us our clearance and pay us our money. It's been long. It's been 13 months. It isn't easy. Some of us are breadwinners in our families. So as they have decided to pay us, we don't know how we are going to put our family on their daily bread. So they should give us our money. We need our money. Mahama, Mr. President, His Excellency, is this how you want to see us? No, I'm not sure you want to see us like this. So pay us so that we go back to the classroom and teach the taxpayers' child, please.
And so they are marching currently to the Finance Ministry and Education Ministry and would return to camp at Jubilee House, where they say they will not leave until their demands are met. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News.
And most certainly, that's not where we want our teachers to be at. We want them in the classrooms where they can be able to teach the kids in terms of providing education, which is a basic human right. Away from that, government has announced an upward adjustment in the daily feeding allowance for inmates, raising it from 1 cedi 80 pesos to 5 cedis per prisoner. The Interior Ministry explains the increment is aimed at improving nutrition and easing pressure on the Ghana Prison Service, which has long struggled with inadequate funding for meals. Officials, however, note that the ministry is still awaiting the disbursement of the 10 million cedis to implement the last quarter's feeding approval. My colleague Noble Crosby has been observing proceedings. Is joining us right now via the phones. Crosby, it's been the day of the Interior Ministry. Talk us through which agencies or security agencies have been to the Public Accounts Committee before we even zero into the feeding of inmates.
It's not the Interior Ministry again taking its turn to respond to infractions captured in the Auditor General's report. It ranged from an earned salaries to monies that if you like, are squandered when they applied for scholarships and all of that. I mean, unpaid bonds, that's how it is called. The Commission has been responding to questions about it. Fire service is also here, police service is here, the immigration service is here. In fact, a lot of the agencies under the Interior Ministry, all those captured in the Auditor General's report, have reported and have been answering questions or responding to concerns that the Auditor General has had with them in the Auditor General's report, Maria.
And we know, if we can now stay on the inmate saga, then we return to other issues that may have come up. What was the justification as provided by the Minister for this increase and why it couldn't be more? And when are we expecting this to fully take effect?
For a while now, for close to 10 years, the feeding fees has remained at 1 cedi 80 pesos, Mawuena. And that's a lot of stakeholders, including the feeding service themselves, have been very vocal about it, that it is woefully inadequate. In fact, if you're comparing that with the school feeding program, the fees for school feeding, that is 260 pesos, and that's for just a meal for the day. But for prisoners who are supposed to be fed 3 times a day, the allocation is 1 cedi 80 pesos per head for the entire day. For a very long time, we've been trying to see an upward appreciation of this amount, but all the time there are severe bottlenecks that it faces, and it is making it impossible. There are a lot of concerns that are arising from this lack of proper meal because of the money that is used. The 180 pesos. The Prison Service has been telling us that a lot of riots that come out of the prisons, a lot of them can be attributed to the meals that these inmates have been getting. Also concerns relating to their health, from skin concerns to lack of a proper nutritional valued meal to help them grow well and to help deal with the crisis that they go through. It is good news that as of now, 5 cities have been approved to replace the 1 city 80 pesos. The appreciation has come. However, it has not yet hit the account of the Interior Ministry or the Prison Service. And that is because although it has been budgeted for, it is yet to be allocated. It is yet to hit the account of the ministry. The expectation is that for the last quarter of the year, beginning October 1 tomorrow, the Minister Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak is optimistic that it will be released so that eventually, finally, prisoners will be able to get some relatively good meals. Of course, relatively, because we're comparing that with the ones to be getting at them.
Right. Let's listen to the minister, and then I come back to you on some more that he's been saying.
Since I think this has been hearing in our reports every time, and in these few months, various steps have been taken as enumerated in the status of the implementation. Gladly, we proposed 10 Ghana cities and we were granted 5. And after the consultations, the President actually instructed that the amount should be increased to 5 cities. And that's an amount of 10 billion which was supposed to cover the last quarter of the year was to be released. But it is yet to be released, even though the approval has been given. And I also want to put on record that in reference to the question of how we...
Of course, we've heard from the head of the prison service, but talk to us again about the minister's position that the Public Accounts Committee should be able to recommend immediately for prosecution individuals who are seen to have flouted the Public Financial Management Act. What exactly did he have to say about that?
The position of the Interior Minister is that amendments to be made to the regulations or the laws governing the work of the Public Accounts Committee to make people responsible for the infractions captured in the report to come and respond to the consent. Citing the example that, for instance, Gaming Commission Board is here and is responding to questions that did not happen during his administration, questions that happened years before he became the Gaming Commission. That is something that he does not appreciate so well. He wants the people who were there when the infractions occurred, who may have left, to come and respond to questions. The Gaming Commission, for instance, is working on recovering some 400,000 cedis in unpaid bonds or unresolved bonds paid to somebody to go to school. The person came back and then resigned when it was not his time as Gaming Commission. So doesn't understand, and he wants the people responsible, for instance, the person who guaranteed during the process, and the then Gaming Commission Board to oversaw the arrangement, and he's saying that arrangement did not even follow due process because some documentations were not set. He should come and then respond to the concerns, not him, because it's unfair that he has to come and respond to concerns that did not happen during his administration.
Right. Crosby, as always, thank you very much. That's Noble Crosby, and he's my colleague reporting for us from Parliament, where the Public Accounts Committee is sitting considering infractions as captured by the Auditor General. That will take us on to our very first break here on the bulletin. When we return, we're out of the capital, taking you to Salaga Ekumpek-Pandai Road, which has been cut off following days of torrential rains. Exactly how are the people going about it? You're seeing pictures and videos of people having to carry a motorbike in heavy flood waters. We'll be live there and bring you details if you stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing flamingo paint?
I thought interior decoration.
Back here on News Central, here on TV3, let's bring you a bit more stories right now from the regions. And the Vice President has visited the abandoned Mamponting and Krofro markets, as well as the Swame Post Office market, razed down by fire in August this year. The Mamponting market is supposed to have a 3-story administration block, 2-story lockable shops, a clinic, daycare center, supermarket, warehouses, among others, had been left to the vagaries of the weather for 12 years.
Visited the abandoned Mamponting and Krofro markets, as well as the Swame Post Office market that was razed down by fire in August this year. The Mamponting market is supposed to have 3-story administration block, 2-story lockable shops, clinic, daycare center, supermarket, warehouses, among others, had been left to the vagaries of the weather for 12 years now.
Oh, many ajipa. Say ashasina na jumane kwasunu na ye nimbotaya na wechi. Be say de yabe hu ni say eye edwano e na omo ye. Nti say ye ni aji. Ebeboa makuro no kura picture.
Traders were relocated to a high-tension electric pole, and some plied their trade on the streets, putting lives at risk and creating traffic congestion. Several appeals and protests took place to appeal to authorities to complete the abandoned projects, but to no avail. Same at the Krofro market. It has been abandoned for 16 years, and residents say the project site became a hideout for armed robbers and other miscreants. Works on the 2 projects are finally expected to resume.
Say District Assembly Common Fund, say Special Fund, say dear one here, say nante. Na baby, mwawo bia ya kwhwehweba na yehwe say anke baba ha bio na edwano ya kwosro. Ya besia baby na anke yewie na anke nya ana.
But for some, until the work starts, they remain skeptical. Evelyn Tenkma, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Well, the E-Block project at Osinase in the eastern region has remained abandoned for 9 years, leaving hundreds of students in nearby communities struggling for access to secondary education. Yvonne Nikwe reports the stalled structure is now overtaken by weeds with rusting iron rods and decaying blocks.
3 or 4 meetings with the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, and the feedback was good and okay. So I assure my people that they should calm down. Things will be okay. So Osinase has been on our neck for long that they needed a secondary school here, because we only have 2 secondary schools and 1 TVET, which is not enough for the community, because we are way more than we can be a metropolitan. This E-block is complete. It will serve a very good purpose for this enclave, because we have about 7 or 8 communities around this area, which is popular.
Well, let's connect with Yvonne right now. She's joining us via Zoom for a quick chat in relation to this school project and what it's supposed to do, why it stalled for 9 years, whether or not there was no funding. We've just been hearing from one of the individuals in the locality as well, speaking to the challenges and what efforts they've put in as well. But Yvonne, talk to us about this school project, what it's looking like now, and what the challenge has been in being able to complete it.
Well, Mawuena, for the past 9 years, this project stalled. Indeed, it was supposed to bring access to students in that particular enclave. As the MP for the area, went anymore. That particular structure was supposed to be part of the community day school that John Mahama sought cut for during his first year. But unfortunately, the project has stalled and hasn't been able to go on. It means that if you're in that particular municipality, Lower West Ashram, if you don't have access to this 3 senior high school, you would have to struggle for place outside that jurisdiction, making it a very difficult situation for people in that particular community. And so for families and those who have completed their basic education, it's becoming a struggle for them. Beyond that, it means that resources are going waste. Government would need to bring more to complete this project. This particular project had funding from the World Bank and some from the GEN Fund. Unfortunately, we're not seeing the project on. We're just hoping that as it goes on, this project, the contractor will be brought back to the place, and then we'll have work to complete to ensure that people in this community have access to education as it were. And
what's the expectation now that this has come to the fore? Are there any plans from the municipality or even the government which we're learning of to put this structure up so residents there can benefit? Well, for the district chief executive, or probably the Lower West Municipal Chief Executive, Paulina, and then the MP for the area, Owen Frimpong, let me give him assurances that they have spoken to the Education Minister, Mawuena Egbeta, and everybody at Get Fund to ensure that the contractor is brought back to the project site. As of whether it will be today, the next month, or probably the next month, we're yet to get that confirmation. But indeed, this project has to continue to ensure that people in that particular enclave do have access to education. Right then, Yvonne, thank you very much. That's my colleague Yvonne Nikwe in the Central Eastern region, I should say. The Osenase E-Block project left abandoned. But let's bring you some other stories. And that one about flooding in the northern part of the country, because the Salaga-Ekumdipek Bandai Road has been cut off following days of torrential rainfall. The development has left hundreds of residents of the area stranded and put emergency services such as medical referrals at risk. What it is that we're learning is that the only alternative route to access Salaga from Pandai and vice versa is to pass through Chamba in the Nanumba North District. On Friday, September 26th, the official vehicle of the MCE for East Gonja, which has been driven by an unofficial driver, was nearly carried away by the running water. In 2019, then President Akufo-Addo cut short for the construction of the Salaga-Ekumdipek Pandai Road, which was scheduled to complete or be completed by 2023. Unfortunately, work on the road stalled by the end of 2021, and flooding has been occasioned by the torrential rains, and it's become an annual predicament or a ritual of some sort affecting socio-economic activities in the area. And you're seeing motorbikes, amongst many others, being conveyed just to ensure that the engines do not get damaged. You're seeing women, amongst many others as well, having to walk barefoot. Just somebody being rescued as well, or persons are enjoying a nice little swim as a result of the flood waters. Let's connect with Christopher Mwako, who's my colleague right now, and get a sense of understanding as to what the development is right now and whether or not help is fast coming to residents in the area. Chris, what's the situation now that you can report? Has there been an ease in terms of the flood waters that have been rushing in?
So, Mawuena, there is nothing of that sort right now as we speak, because the water levels are still high, and so nothing can be done about remedying the situation. I have engaged with some authorities in the East Gonja municipality, and what they are saying is that they will have to wait till the water levels recede so that they can look at how to curb the reoccurrence of this particular flooding along that particular stretch. And Mawuena, I must put on record that between 2020 and 2021, that road, if you apply that road, you know that it was near completion. It was just left for the contractor to put bitumen on that particular stretch. Unfortunately, the road was left, and as we speak, it's in a terrible or sorry state. And so the questions many are asking is that that particular stretch of road has been a waste of the taxpayers' money, because as it stands now, they have to start all over again before they can redevelop the road. So as we speak, the motorists will have to endure the hardship of crossing through Chamba to Salaga or to Bimbila to Pandai before they are able to access any of the communities. Now, the most unfortunate thing, Mawuena, is that this area is the food basket of the north, and even most of the food especially yam you see in Accra, Kumasi, comes from this area. And so around this time, it will be very difficult for them to transport their farm produce to the market centers in the southern parts of the country. And so it's a very unfortunate incident, and farmers are bearing the brunt of this incident.
So technically, we may not see a lot of the yam from this part make their way to Accra, but in terms of amelioration, in being able to fix the road to start off with, is there a plan from the municipality in being able to address this in the immediate term for the residents there?
Okay, so feeder roads was on that particular stretch after the incident to assess the impact of the situation. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, they can do nothing about it now because the water levels keep growing higher. Around this time, apart from the fact that the area records volumes of rainfall, but we are also seeing water from the river banks around that area also overflowing and taking or washing away the road. And so they will have to wait until the water levels go down before they can have a plan. We are anticipating, according to them, that the rainy season, we are in the peak of it, September, October. By ending of October or early November, we will not record that excessive rainfalls again, and so they will be able to come in to remedy the situation. But until then, what we are going to experience is motorists and other people using that road or commuting from one end of the other district to another will have to endure the hardship of crossing using the Bimbila, Chamba, Bandai, or Bandai, Bimbila to Salaga. That is the situation.
We've spoken to a great deal about the roads, but how are residents as well coping? Or this flood situation we're seeing is just affecting mobility and access to road networks. Is this making its way to homes, farms, and causing havoc beyond just roads being washed away?
Okay, so if you go to the communities, some communities have actually experienced some level of water entering their homes, but it's not yet severe as it's recorded in the past years. So, but precautionary measures have been taken by community members to ensure that even if it does, they will be able to remedy the situation by themselves. This is just one aspect of it in the Pandai area. If you come to the other parts of the northern and savannah regions, as we speak, some communities have already experienced the flooding in their communities already, and others are also praying that the rains don't fall too much for water to come into their homes. Mawuena, you know that when it gets to this time, it is always difficult for most communities in the northern parts of the country, for instance, not only for their porous roads being washed away, they also experience this flooding in their homes because of poor drainage system and poor work done by some contractors where contracts have been awarded.
Right, Chris, thank you very much as always for those details. That's Christopher Mark, who is my colleague, providing a bit more in terms of the details for us here on the development up north. Now, Ghana's hard-earned reputation as a beacon of peace is increasingly being jeopardized by rising tide of interethnic and communal conflicts, a development that has drawn urgent warnings from religious elders and civic leaders alike. The recurrent violence, often fueled by what is described as diluted historical narratives,
which recently occurred in Biniri, leading to fatalities and mass displacement of residents, has prompted urgent warnings from religious and civic leaders. Speaking to the matter, President of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Elders Organization Ghana, Alhaji Ali Muhammad Ketu, advised against violence, emphasizing the collateral damage it poses to communities.
The recent upheaval we are talking about in the northern part of the country, if the neighbors have lived in peace, this will not happen. Maybe the cause of the conflict might be something avoidable, but because there's no peace, the other person didn't promote peace. This is where we are.
The Ahmadiyya elder highlighted the direct economic drain of conflict, pointing to the substantial military presence and other resources being channeled into protracted conflicts like the Boko dispute.
If I'm a farmer and I'm in this place, how can I continue my farming activities? If I have produce which are close and now we're in the north currently we are in the planting season, how do I plant? So again, we are moving to farming. Hunger will come where they are. They are going to be a burden on the state. So the resources that we have taken to other places could be shared to us. A typical example is the protracted Boko conflict. Look at the military presence and all other resources going to that place. So this is how it's drawing back the few or the scarce resources which you need for development.
Meanwhile, the mayor for Techiman Metro firmly attributed the basis of many of this fight to inaccurate historical narratives.
When we come down to ethnicity, that is where it's dangerous. Lucky Dube gave her a clue that when it started, you and I were not there. Your father didn't tell you the truth. Also, my father didn't tell me the truth. So why do we use the basis of history, which are totally diluted, to hate each other?
Both leaders are making a fervent appeal for a peaceful coexistence to drive national development.
We should put all this history aside and focus on development, peace. By so doing, we can build better society for ourselves and our future generation yet unborn.
And Ghana being a beacon of peace, let's continue to maintain that.
Conflict in recent times is threatening the peace and development of Ghana at an alarming rate. National security sources have indicated that the country have been grappling with over 500 ethnic and chieftaincy conflicts, with 130 of these conflicts posing existential threats to national peace and stability. As of early September 2025, a single land dispute that erupted in Biniri in the Savannah region has resulted in at least 34 fatalities and the displacement of an estimated 48,000 people, with thousands fleeing to neighboring Côte d'Ivoire. According to the 2024 Global Peace Index, Ghana was ranked second in West Africa and maintained its fourth ranks in the Sub-Saharan Africa as one of the most peaceful countries.
A report by my colleague Belinda in the Savannah region, the Bono region. We'll go for another break. When we return, we take the show home. Stay with us. One final story before we leave, and for years, residents in Asokore Mampong have grappled with persistent sanitation issues. Now, in a move to tackle the challenge, the Municipal Assembly is deploying a special unit of sanitation guards to enforce strict compliance with local sanitation regulations.
AGOA against filth in Asokore Mampong is a long-standing one. Despite past efforts, improper waste disposal and littering have remained a problem, posing a threat to public health and the environment. Now, the Assembly is shifting its strategy from mere advocacy to active enforcement. At a recent municipal sanitation conference, the blueprint was unveiled. Ben Abdallah Al-Hassan is the municipal chief executive for Asokore Mampong Assembly.
Activists within the various electoral areas. And so we want to bring all of them on board and make sure that we establish a sanitation gas model out of them that will be catered for by the budget of the Assembly. And so they will serve as watchdogs, essentially, to police the various communities and electoral areas to ensure that sanitation issues are improved. They will help the environmental health officers to ensure and apprehend people who flout some of these sanitation bylaws and directives.
While a firm date is still being finalized, the Assembly confirms it's in the advanced stages of planning. The next steps include training the guards and launching a public sensitization campaign to ensure every resident understands the rules and the penalties for breaking them.
This fight is actually a collective fight, and so they should all come on board so that together we can rid our municipality of filth.
The Assembly has pledged that the program will be implemented fairly, with an emphasis on education first. The ultimate goal, a fundamental shift in attitude, leading to a cleaner and healthier Asokore Mampong for everyone.
And that's our bulletin for you this afternoon, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. We're back again tomorrow with another exciting edition of the bulletin. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. I am Mawuena Egbeta.